big boy SUVs, over 5 meters long, 3-row, full-size SUVs. That's what's been on the menu this year in 2025 in China. And we are at Chengdu Auto Show 2025, and I think it's the perfect place to go check out some of these absolute huge beasts. I'm Will, and this is China Driven. Okay, so this is actually my first time at Chengdu Auto Show. It feels a little bit more subdued than kind of Beijing and Shanghai. They are the big boy auto shows, if you like. Not so many big releases happening here today, but it does give us a good chance, like I said, to check out these full-size SUVs. We will maybe look at some other stuff, but I think we're going to focus on the huge SUVs that China is putting out this year. So I'm not doing like a very in-depth video, really, just kind of pointing out all the different full-size SUVs that have gone on sale this year, because I think it's interesting as a trend to kind of see the patterns and the waves of developments and products that come out in China. And in 2025, I think, you know, there's been other things like the Xpeng P7, a sports sedan, and there's been, you know, Firefly, which is a little hatchback. But generally, you know, the main thread between a lot of these manufacturers this year has been updating or introducing their top-of-the-line flagship full-size SUVs. Okay, this behind me here is the Geely Galaxy M9. Now, this is kind of Geely's full-size SUV. It's over 5.2 meters long. It's 3 rows. You can buy this for 193,000 to about 217,000 here in the Chinese market. It's got a wheelbase of over 3 meters. And, you know, your market might get this. Geely Galaxy E5, I believe, went to Australia. It also went to kind of Malaysia as a Proton. So, yeah, this is Geely's one. Price is fairly low. Yeah, not a bad looking thing. There's one thing you also notice about kind of if you're following along with Chinese EV development in general, especially these full-size SUVs, you'll notice that we've kind of boiled stuff down to a specific recipe. And we're now seeing it kind of implemented into every full-size EV. You've got to have a fridge, you've got to have a rear screen. You've got to have a large third row. It's got to be a large third row with the ability to recline and even slide the seat bases back. It has to have a fridge, right? And these are just the things now that Chinese people expect in a full-size SUV. It's got to have big, comfy, second row passenger seats. I know it's going to sound a bit weird, but obviously I see a lot of cars. I would say that generally, a few years ago, there were huge leaps being made in product. Brand new features and things that maybe we never even thought about having in cars, you know, zero gravity seats and all of this type of stuff. But now it's like everybody has that. And if you don't have it, then your product isn't competitive. The way that pricing is going in China, and it's still pretty brutal here in terms of pricing, you know, there's a lot of good deals now. Like these large 3-row SUVs can be had for really, really decent money and good value. So there's a lot of options at a wide range of price points. Of course, NIO's sub-brand hero, the ONVO L90, was at the Chengdu Auto Show, but I didn't go to see it. I've already done 2 full videos about the ONVO L90, so if you're interested, maybe one of the best value full-size SUVs this year, go check out those videos on my channel. Okay, so this is the new NIO ES8, the NT3, the newest generation. I already did a first view of it very quickly on the launch night, but I'm not going to talk about this because I'm literally flying from Chengdu to another place to do the test drive of this vehicle, where I'll do a full in-depth review like we normally do, so watch out for that. Though the real reason why I stopped past here is because, you know, I'm going to the ES8 drive, media drive, literally in a couple of days. But every auto show I will stop at NIO, because I can go to NIO House and I can grab a coffee nice and easily, take a break, and then back onto it. It used to be, you know, these full-size SUVs, especially in the kind of premium and upper, they were dominated by the foreign automakers. So you got things like Audi Q8 and BMW X7, Mercedes GLS, these types of cars. They were expensive, really expensive. But now there's a plethora of good quality Chinese NEV full-size SUVs to choose from. Whether you want full EV in the likes of NEO ESA or ONVO L90, or you want an EREV, obviously you've got the Li Autos, we also got the Aitos, or if you want something that is kind of a hybrid, like a super hybrid from like Geely and Zeekr and loads of other brands. Okay, behind me here, this is BYD's premium brand. This is the Yangwang U8L, just in case you thought that the already huge Yangwang U8 was not big enough. You can get an even longer version of it. Remember, this is the car, does all the tank turning and also does the kind of swimming in the water. Crazy Chinese opulence and luxury. That's what the Yangwang brand is all about. Okay, the Li Auto i8, their first BEV SUV, I guess you could call, full size, 3 rows. A tough time for Li Auto really with this car, this launch, following the tough launch of the Mega. Hopefully we'll get one and we'll do a full review about it, because I do think that it deserves it, because, you know, it's an important vehicle for Li Auto transitioning into full EV. That will come later on the channel. We'll get one and we'll do a full proper review. Please like, comment, subscribe. There's a huge number of people who watch on TV, by the way. I know it's a bit of a pain to comment and to like, but if you could do so, that would really help me out. Just comment whatever you like. Just literally open it up, put in a 1 or an A or whatever. I'll know what it means, and it really helps out the channel. So I see online, like a lot of people talking about the fact that, you know, China is definitely leading the EV kind of revolution. This sheer number of cars that they're making, all different price points and all different styles of car. But I hear some people online, you know, kind of moan about there's so many Chinese brands are reverting or introducing either extended range EVs or super hybrids. And there's a reason for it, whether you like it or not. You know, it's about money and sales. And in China, there's still a huge portion of people who don't want to buy an EV or aren't ready to buy an EV. They're quite happy to buy an NEV, some sort of hybrid. They just don't want to go full electric. And I know, if you're sitting outside of China, looking at China, like, why would you make that decision? You know, infrastructure here is so great for EVs. Now, I went back to the UK and I drove an EV, and let me tell you, it was a ball ache. I don't know how you guys do it. Maybe if you've got a home charger, might be easier, but compared to China, absolute ball ache. And also slow as hell, like fast charging in the UK. 50 kilowatts is not fast charging. I can't believe it. That qualifies as fast charging. But we're getting off topic. These companies need to survive, especially for these startups. And nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. The startups aren't safe, and also the brands that belong to the traditional OEMs, they're not safe either. And maybe if you've only been kind of following the Chinese automotive industry since the kind of explosion of EVs, you might not be very aware of how Chinese OEMs do things, like the traditional OEMs. Because I hear everybody talking about consolidation. It's got to be consolidation. You know, so many of these companies are going to close, and it's right, and they will do. But you also have to understand that the traditional automakers in China have been opening and closing brands for as long as I've been here, for 15 years. And they've been opening and closing brands non-stop. You see, normally what happens is they'll introduce a model, and if that model is even remotely popular, they'll just spin off a brand for it. And when it doesn't sell anymore, they'll just close it down. They might move the model back to the main brand. So they know that the chances of a new brand surviving, is not guaranteed. And that's why everybody's moving to, you know, super hybrids and extended range EVs as well as BEVs in order to increase sales. And those new startups, you know, they've only got their brand. Look, tomorrow, if let's take a brand. Let's say Jetour from Chery. If Jetour fails tomorrow, Chery's not going, well, they care, but, you know, it's not going to be the end of Chery, right? And in 6 months, if they wanted to, they'll just launch another brand. Let's say for Neo or for Xpeng, if they fail, that's it, it's done, it's over, right? They don't have the safety of that large OEM behind them. And while large OEMs may be slow to react and you may think that, you know, they're coming under pressure, they are, but they're also huge and they've got the staying power. None of them are going to collapse like overnight. But these new brands, whether they're owned by the OEMs or whether they're the traditional OEMs or they're a new startup, they need to increase their sales to stay alive. Okay, behind me here, this is the Jetour G700. It's one of Chery's brands. This is over 5 meters long. It's only 5 seats though, but it's one of these kind of off-roady vehicles. Apparently this is also amphibious, think kind of like the Yangwang U8. It will be able to go into water, probably as an emergency feature, and you'll be able to steer it and power through the water if you need to get across a river, because that's something that everybody needs in their life. So this is the reality of car shows in China. If you're wondering what that noise is, it is live streamers. Just all these live streamers here, just at the front, talking to their live streams. Okay, so behind me here, this is the Aito M7. This is second generation. They've just unveiled the interior today, which is why there's quite a lot of people around. It comes with a 5 or a 6 here, because you can get it as a 3-row, but this is a mid-size. This is not a big boy SUV. It's not what we're interested in today. Behind me, this is Aito's big boy SUV for this year. This is the Aito M8. 3 rows, just under 5.2 meters long with a 3.1 meter wheelbase. This is already on sale. I'm gonna get one of these and I'm gonna do a full review about it, because this is one of the hot cars this year in China. So you gotta remember that these extended range EVs and super hybrids, they're not like hybrids that we've had in Europe for a while. Like, they have legit EV only ranges. I know some people go, oh, but that's the Chinese test cycle, it's not real world ranges, but even still, you'll get 80 to 100 miles of real world range out of some of these things. And for most people, that's enough to do their commute. So some people are not ready to go full EV. Could be because of charging situation, could just be that they just don't feel comfortable with it yet. And you know what, whether you like it or not, these are great products to bridge that gap. You get one of these products and start commuting to work every day in EV, very quickly you're going to be like, when you need a new car or something like that, EV is definitely an option now, because you have that experience of charging and using electricity as your main propulsion. I know people don't like it, but having the engine does give people that kind of safety, this feeling of safety. I think a lot of range anxiety comes down to simply people are just worried, like, when my car runs out of battery, what do I do? Like, all of us, or I think most of us, when we were younger and had a car, we've all, for me, for example, when I was a poor student, you know, the fuel light would come on and I'd be like, yeah, good for another certain amount of miles. You know, empty doesn't mean empty. And, you know, it's cut out on me. And I've had to make that walk to the petrol station, buy a, you know, jerry can, fill it up, take the walk back to the car, and put it in. And I think a lot of people just maybe worry, like, if my car runs out of electricity, what do I do? It's like, it's not that hard. Like, obviously you can't walk to a charge station and get a jerry can full of charge and walk back. Not yet. I mean, people have tried it, but batteries are just too heavy. But it's a tow truck to a charge point, right? It's not the end of the world, but it's something different and new, and that's always hard for some people to accept. And hybrids, super hybrids especially, or EREVs, you know, they kind of bridge that gap nicely. And I know, the argument that they're overly complicated, it's true, they are. But hey, if somebody wants it, why not? If it's gonna help them make that step to full EV, I'm on board. Okay, behind me here is the Zeekr 9X. Now, I said that Chengdu Auto Show is quite a quiet show, not much going on, but this has to be the release of the show. They unveiled the interior of the 9X and also the pricing. But first of all, this is like Zeekr's uber luxury full-size SUV. One of the key features in it is got a full panoramic glass roof that is opening, and also a rear screen for rear entertainment. And basically it's on a slider and it slides backwards and forwards from the front and back, so you can have one continuous piece of glass that can open. Now, they aren't offering this for a cheap price. They are fully in on the fact that this is uber premium. It starts at around 480,000 RMB and all the way up to, I think it's like 560,000 RMB. This is a super hybrid. It's got a 2 liter. It's got loads of power. This huge thing will go 0 to 100 in 3.1 seconds. I'm not getting anywhere near it. So hopefully I can get some B-roll of the interior to show you, but we should be going to drive this maybe next month, and we can really delve into it in a full review. Okay, so we're done with the Chengdu Auto Show 2025. Like I said, I didn't intend to make a video today, so not fully prepared, but I just want to kind of show you the thread that I think is happening in 2025, which is so many NEV full-sized SUVs. You see, even in this tiny little segment in China, just how much choice there is. And I'm sure I didn't cover all of them. And all of the ones I showed you today were either EREVs, super hybrids, or full EVs. There weren't any pure ICE. So there's even more on the market. The speed in China of everything just keeps going on. And it's not going to slow down as these companies come under more and more pressure. They're going to have to actually probably speed up a little bit. If there's any car that you've seen here today that you really want me to review, drop it in the comments and I'll try my hardest to get hold of it and we'll do a full in-depth review. There's so much going on here. I can't review every single car, but if there's one that you're really interested in, let me know. Now, as you walk around auto shows, you come across some like strange things, this being one of them. It is a V23 from iCar, but it's all chromed out. I don't know, do you like this? Would you be a fan of something all chromed out like this? Not for me, but I'm sure some people will think this is kind of cool. Okay, behind me here is the Wei Gaoshan. Now, it's an MPV, I'm not really there focused on it, but I just saw something I was walking past and I just quickly got some B-roll of it. And basically, it's got a chair to help old people get in and out of the car. Think like a Stairmaster chair that old people use to go up the stairs very slowly to sit on. They put that inside an MPV.